Today we are moving on to chapter 8, which is surface area of prisms, and it's also going to be surface area of pyramids and volume. So we are skipping 8.1 today, so in your packet you need to be on 8.2, and it's going to be surface area of prisms. So the first thing, what is surface area? Okay, you may see your keyword area. Okay, so surface area is the sum of the areas of all of its faces. So a prism is what you see right here. Okay, this is a prism. Some of you may know it as a cube or something like that. So this is a rectangular prism. So the surface area is the sum of the areas of all of its faces. So sum means addition. Remember, it's the answer to an addition problem. And the area of all of its faces means that we have to find the area of all 6 sides, and then we add them together. So we would find the area of this one, of the side, of the back, the side, the top, and then the bottom. Okay, and I know that looks confusing, but it'll get easier as we go. So if we are dealing with a rectangular prism like this, there are 6 sides that we had to find the area of. Okay, a net is a 2-dimensional representation of a solid used to find the surface area of a solid. So if you unfold your prism like this and you flatten it, this is a net. Okay, sometimes it is easier to find the surface area when you flatten it out like this, okay, because you're not having to figure out where the bottom is or where the side is, or if you've done this one. Okay, if you can find the surface area of this just looking at this, then that's fine. Okay, but sometimes a net is easier. Surface area is measured in square units. So just like regular area, you have to square it. So that's inches squared, meters squared, centimeters squared, units squared, any of those. Okay, you have to square it, which is that 2 in the top right of the label. So we're going to start with this first one. It says find the surface area of the rectangular prism. Okay, so you can look at either the actual prism or you can look at the net. It is whatever is easiest for you. Okay, so essentially we are finding the area of every single side. Okay, so let's start with the front. Okay, the front is this part right here. Okay, if you notice, it's also right here. Now I want you to think, is there another side on here that looks exactly the same, or is there another face that looks exactly like the front? Hopefully you notice that the back is the exact same. Okay, so that means when we find the area of the front, we can multiply it by 2, and we will have the area of the front and the back combined. Okay, so I'm going to write front / back. Okay, it is a rectangle, and so our area, to find the area, it's A equals base times height. Okay, I can see right here my base is 7 and my height is 3, and you can see it on this one as well. Okay, so I would do 7 times 3, which equals 21. Okay, that is, so 21 inches squared is the front, but like we said, the back is the exact same, so we're going to multiply it by 2. So 21 times 2 equals 42 inches squared. Okay, so we have 2 of our sides, or 2 of our faces done. Okay, each side is known as a face. Okay, so I'm going to be saying face a lot, and that just means there's 6 faces on the prism. Okay, so next we can do the side and side. Okay, so that's right here and right here, or right here and right here. Remember, they're the same thing. Okay, so you can see my base is 4 right here. I need to figure out my height right here, and I see it's 3 over here, so it has to be 3 right there. So to find the area of our side, we do base times height, so we'll do 4 times 3. So over here I'm going to write side / side, and it's 4 times 3, which equals 12. since we have two sides that are exactly the same, we're going to multiply by 2, because there's 2 of them, and we get 24 inches squared. Okay, so we have 4 faces done now, and we just have 2 left. And it is the top and the bottom, because they are exactly the same as well. Okay, so on our prism, that's that one and this one. Okay, so if I look at my net, my base is 7 and my height is 4. So we have top slash bottom, and we have 7 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. Since that's the top and the bottom is the exact same, we're going to multiply by 2. And we get 56 inches squared. So those are all 6 of my tops. Okay, I have front, back, side, top, and bottom. Those are my 6 sides, and we get 42 inches squared, 24 inches squared, and 56 inches squared. Now, all that's left is you have to add all of those together, because remember, surface area is the sum of all of the areas, so we have to add them together. And I know 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Then we have 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 4 is 11, plus 1 is 12. So we get 122 inches squared. Okay. So all you're doing is finding the area of every side and then adding them together. Okay. All right, next. So we're doing the same thing, except we don't have a net this time. We have to use the actual 3D prism. Okay. So I know, since it's a prism, a rectangular prism, I'm going to have front slash back, side slash slide, and top slash bottom. Okay. So if I start with my front, that is going to be right here. In my back, we'll do it a different color, is this one. Okay, the front and the back. So my base is 9 and my height is 5. Just remember, if we're doing rectangles, it's base times height. So for the front, we have 9 times 5, which equals 45, times 2 equals 90. Okay, think back. Why did we multiply by 2 on this? Okay. Hopefully you said it's because it's the front and the back. They're exactly the same. So we multiply by 2. So we get 90 inches squared. Okay. Next, we have our side and side. So that's this one and this one. Okay. If I look at the one on the left, I know my base is 6. That one is easy to read. Okay. But I need to figure out what is my height right here. Since this whole thing is a rectangle and this side is 5, that means this side has to be 5 as well. So for our sides, we're going to do 6 times 5 equals 30. And then we multiply those by 2 because there's 2 sides. And we get 60 inches squared. If you want, you can pause this and try to do the top and the bottom on your own and see if you get the same answer as me. So my top is right there and my bottom is right there. Okay. Notice this 5 has nothing to do with the top or the bottom, so we do not use that. Okay. Our base is our 9 and our height is our 6. So top and bottom is going to be 9 times 6, which equals 54. Multiply that by 2 because we have the top and the bottom. There's 2 of them that are exactly the same. And we get 108 inches squared. Okay. So those are my areas so far. and then all I have to do is add them together. You get 90, I'm going to put plus 60 plus 108. 0 plus 0 plus 8 is 8. 9 plus 6 is 15. Carry your 1. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. So you should have gotten 258 inches squared. Okay. All right. On the next page, okay, we're doing the same thing, except now, instead of a rectangular prism, we have triangular prisms. Okay, so you can see over on the right, we have our triangular prism right here, and then we have our net, just like we did on the other side. Okay, you'll notice it's triangular, so there's still 3 rectangles, but there's 2 triangles as well. Okay, this one, we are not going to be able to multiply the rectangles by 2 anymore, because if you notice, this rectangle, and this rectangle are all different. Okay, they all have different, at least a different base or height. So we can't multiply by 2, but we can multiply by 2 on our triangles because those are the exact same. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bottom. Okay, and it's easier if you label them to keep track of which ones you have done and which ones you haven't. So I'm doing the bottom. So I know it's a rectangle. My base is 12 and my height is right here. Okay, which, if you look over here, is the same right there. So it is 8. That's a bad 8, but it's an 8. Okay, so find the area of a rectangle. We would do 12 times 8, which is 96. Okay, we do not multiply by 2 because there's no other rectangle on there that's the same. So I'm done with the bottom. Next, I'll do one of the sides. There are 2 sides, but they're not the same. So one side, and we'll have 2 sides. So the first side is the one I highlighted. I can see my base is 13. My height, just like this other rectangle, is going to be 8. So we have 13 times 8. And you should get 104 inches squared. Okay. We don't multiply by 2 because there's not another rectangle just like that. Then we'll do our last rectangle. X out that one because we're done. And it's this small one right here. It's the second side. And it tells us right here, height is 8, base is 5. So we would just have 8 times 5, which equals 40 inches squared. So last thing, we have our 2 triangles, which are the exact same. Okay, so this triangle and this triangle are the same. Okay. But remember, we have to figure out which one's our base and which one's our height because there's going to be numbers that are going to try and trick us. Okay. And since there's 2 triangles, whatever answer we get, we can multiply by 2 since they're the exact same. So I'm going to have back / front. Okay. And remember, if we have a triangle, our formula is A equals 1/2 times base times height. So we have to take half of either our base or our height or our answer. Okay. So if I look at this top triangle, my base and my height have to create that right angle, okay, which is right here. It gives you the little box right there. So our base is 5 and our height is 12. We do not use this 13 because that's the slant. So we have 1/2 times 12 times 5. Okay. I know that half of 12 is 6, so that's 6 times 5, which equals 30. Okay. Since there are 2 of them, I got to multiply that by 2. So 30 times 2 is 60 inches squared. Okay. I have my area for all 5 faces, and so I add them together now. I am going to do it in a calculator. So 96 plus 104 plus 40 plus 60 is 300 inches squared. Okay. If you would like to try this next one on your own, you can. It's the same thing, it just doesn't have the net this time. Okay, so this one is going to be a tiny bit different because I can see right away that the 2 rectangles on the top or on the sides are the same. Okay, so we have the bottom, which I'm going to start with. Okay, bottom, I can see base is 16, the height is 9. So I'm going to label the bottom, and it's a rectangle, so we don't have to divide by 2 or find half of it. It's just base times height, which is 16 times 9, and if you do that in your calculator, you get 144 inches. Oh, this one's meters actually. Meters squared. Okay. So I did the bottom. Now I'm going to move to the other rectangles, which are the sides. So this one and this one back there. Okay. They are the exact same. So that means I'm going to have my base and my height, and I can multiply by 2. So we have, let's see, how do we want to label it? We'll do sides, 2 sides. Okay. My base is 9, and my height is 10. So 9 times 10 equals 90. So that's, one of them is 90, so the other one has to be 90 as well. So we're going to multiply by 2, and we get 180 meters squared. And then lastly, we have our 2 triangles, which are the exact same. So we get to multiply them by 2. So I'm going to write, because they are the front and the back. Front and back. Okay. Whatever our base and our height is, we have to multiply by a half. So I'm going to erase this just so we can see the front more clearly. Okay. So my base is 16, and my height is this line right here, which it says is 6. So ignore the 10. That is our slant. Remember, when we have triangles, you have to find that right angle. So it is 1/2 times 16 times 6. Half of 16 is 8. And so we have 8 times 6, which is 48. Okay. And since this triangle is 48 and this triangle is 48, we have to multiply by 2 to figure out what they are all together, and we get 96 meters squared. So I've done all 5 of my faces. So last step is 144 plus 180 plus 96. You add them all together, and you should get 420 meters squared. Okay. You need to show your work on all the questions on the homework. Okay, you cannot do this in your head. Look at all of this work that I showed. This is what I am expecting on your homework. Keep your work page nice and neat, and make sure you turn it into Canvas. Let me know if you have questions.